BMW 440i Coupe 2017 review. From £29,700. 9. The assumption was that a few minor tweaks to the 2017 BMW 440i Coupe wouldn't make much of a difference. It turns out they do. What is it? It didn't start well, our drive from Munich to Austria in the updated BMW 4 Series. Like the preceding weeks in the UK, apparently Deutschland had experienced an equally balmy run-up to Easter, so snow was the last thing on anyone's mind. Yet snow it did, and in the midst of the blizzard, a brilliant display of German ingenuity ensured that the whole fleet of press cars was swapped onto winter tires before our Airbus A320 pilot had pulled up the handbrake and switched off the seatbelt sign. The press conference began with some disappointingly mundane facts about the new car. New lights, they said, front and rear. New bumpers, too, plus new leather colors, body colors and even a new steering wheel. EP, but if we're honest, test driving a new bumper didn't really seem worth the horrendously early start. Things got a little more interesting when the talk moved to the updated technology. This includes the options of a configurable digital instrument display and a new infotainment package, with swipeable, tile-based menus and Apple CarPlay. Both ape-similar systems fitted to the current 5 Series and 7 Series. Then Jos van Az, BMW's driving dynamics guru, mentioned the increased negative camber of the front wheels to curtail understeer, revised damper rates and larger diameter anti-roll bars. Things are looking up, we thought. But it was the phrase remapped steering, to improve feedback that really set the pulse racing, because of all things, a slack helm was the main blot on the previous 4 Series copybook. Our interest was well and truly piqued. What's it like? Well, peaked right up to the point where we hit the road in a 430i convertible, which left us underwhelmed. Its 4-cylinder petrol engine produces adequate pace but is raucous when you try extracting any of it. It's an engine that forces you to spend time in its lower rev range just to find some peace and quiet, and has no place in a modern BMW. Meanwhile, its 8-speed automatic gearbox is neither smooth nor responsive, and the steering, although improved, still doesn't quite hit the spot for feel around dead center or on turn-in. This, we were told, could be the extra flex of the tread blocks on those winter tires. Nevertheless, we arrived at the lunch stop disheartened. Then we swapped into a 440i Coupe. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a smooth camembert to the dry chalkiness of the 430i. Those small changes that had failed to enliven the 430i had, on the 440i Coupe, effected a genuinely noticeable improvement, to the point where it's a belter of a car. So if you've ever heard whispers that BMW is losing its mojo, this car at least, is proof that it knows exactly where it's kept. It all centers round that steering upgrade. In the previous 4 Series, you turned into a corner and had to make little corrections, because your brain was receiving messages from your hands that were too faint for it to calculate and execute in real time the correct trajectory. Not in the 440i, though. Now the weight builds beautifully, so not only do you see the results on the road as every further degree of steering angle is applied, but you feel it, too. The upshot is that just one smooth, fluid sweep of the wheel through every corner is all that's required, leaving your brain to focus harder on the road ahead. And in case you're wondering, we did ask why there was such a difference between the 430i and the 440i, bearing in mind that both were on winter tires. There was talk of differing tire manufacturers, but nothing more conclusive than that. Regardless of the reason, it meant that when the long stretches of Das White, snow-covered roads taking us ever farther into the Bavarian hinterland gave way to occasional macadam gray gritted sections, we could lap up the 440i's revised suspension, which in this case included the optional adaptive dampers. It locks down the body so it barely leans but leaves enough elasticity for the wheels to patter over any uneven ground, keeping you utterly stable and totally confident about what's beneath you. It's surprisingly comfortable as well. Okay, The roads we drove were, for the most part, smooth, but not once did it bump or crash through the body. Only wind noise from the door mirrors at motorway speeds diminish slightly its ability to cause it. Another anomaly is why the 440i's automatic box is so much slicker and more precise than the apparently identical one in the 430i. As standard, the 440i comes with a 6-speed manual box, but we have little complained about the auto's ability to exploit the engine's output. And what a peachy engine! The slightly augmented, yet still satisfying 6-cylinder growl aside, it pulls hard and long, feeling as tractable as the best modern turbos out there, even with such severely limited grip. Should I buy one? Because this test was hampered by the inclement weather, being definitive about the new 4 Series isn't really possible. However, we learned enough to say with reasonable confidence that the 430i convertible should be avoided at all costs, but you should beg, borrow or rob graves to get your hands on a 440i coupe. The engine's great, the ride's great, the handling's great, the low-slung driving position's great, and finally, praise be, the steering is great, too. So there you go, we did travel to Germany to drive a new bumper, but in the 440i coupe, at least, it has been bolted onto what appears to be a spectacularly well re-engineered car. BMW 440i Coupe Auto. Location: Austria. On sale May. Price: £45,120. Engine: 6 cells, 2998cc, turbo, petrol. Power: 322 bhp at 5,000 revolutions per minute. Torque: 332 pounds-foot at 1,380 to 5,000 revolutions per minute. Gearbox: 8-speed automatic. Curb weight: 1,630 kilograms. Top speed: 155 miles per hour. 0 to 62 miles per hour. 5.0 seconds. Economy: 41.5 miles per gallon, combined. CO2/tax spend: 159 grams/km/30%. Rivals: Mercedes-AMG C43 4MATIC, Audi S5, S5.